to acclaim the effort of Scotland, but also this great French side, because it is fast becoming a great French side. Who knows what they can achieve in this Six Nations and beyond in their own World Cup, but they have shown why they are just about the best in the world at the moment.
It was a victory built on ferocious defence and fantastic counter-attack, and that's why they're so good. They've got the physicality, but they've got the sprinkling of the X-Factor players as well, which is what makes them so dangerous. It's not been a great afternoon for Scotland, but we've mentioned Rory Darge. I thought Tui Pelotu gives them some really good direction in the midfield. I thought that worked well in the centres, but it was a day for France to enjoy. A fantastic result, thoroughly deserved. And the Six Nations is theirs to be lost, it seems.
Yeah, an outstanding team, France. Obviously, almost world class, as you say. They were asked a few questions towards the end of that first half, but answered with a try at the end of the first half, a try to start the second half, and then control thereafter.
Handshakes all around, but again the question is, who can stop France? Games to come. Well, next up it's a Friday night game against Wales in Cardiff. Sam Warburton's chuckling alongside me, and then England in Paris, perhaps for the title at the end. And as Scotland move on, and they'll play Italy and they'll play Ireland on the final day. But again, this French side so very, very impressive. 6 tries. This is a Scotland side that had conceded 2 tries in the opening 2 games. 6 tries conceded to this brilliant French side today. 2 scored by Scotland, but they have given second best to France. Final score at Murrayfield: Scotland 17, France 36.
An enormous win for France, both in terms of what it means for them for the championship, but Scotland haven't conceded that many points at home in the Six Nations since 2015, their 40-10 defeat then to Ireland. They've been a team that have been so hard to beat in the Six Nations, Scotland of late, but France made light work of that. Abdel Benazzi, what did you make of that French victory?
I'm really impressed about this team. Today was a big test of us, because they want to confirm our improvement, but now what was seen, especially in the second half, was very solid, very sure. Especially when the bench coming in as well, they give them more power physically, and I think this team is they work hard. They look very good for the future.
They soaked up pressure as well, Martin Johnson, in the first half when Scotland got back into the game, but never looked like they were going to let it get away from them.
Well, I think France were a little bit rattled in that first half. Yeah, they scored the 2 tries, and Scotland really had the best of the rest of the half. And Ficku's try before half-time was massive, sent France in on a high, and then to score just after half-time again really put them in the driving seat. So I felt a bit for Scotland. I thought they did actually play at times some of their best rugby of the tournament, but France are very good, they're very strong, and when they had the chances they put them away.
Your impression of Scotland today, John?
Not really of Scotland. I thought France was stunning, and you can talk about the tries, and the tries will get the headlines, but their defence, and we'll look at some of it, was superb. I genuinely think this team, they're coming together. Best team in the world for me. I think they're that good, and I know you say they got a bit rattled, but they come back. And that's a sign of it. They showed a bit of resilience. Scotland's caught up with them almost, and then they just went away from them. Their skill, execution, their power, their defence. I mean, genuinely, they were stunning today for me.
Yeah, I think the scary thing is they've got a lot of improvement in them. I think they've got a fair bit of improvement before World Cup next year. They can play the game in a number of ways and be very, very good at it as well. And as Sam said at the end, they have certain players that can do amazing things and get tries out of nowhere. They've still got some French, how can I put it, eccentricities
idiosyncrasies?
In them. Yes, I mean, they're throwing the ball, they're chucking the ball back over their own try line, but they got away with it today.
But can you do that when you know you've got a 20-point gap at that point? Does it feel like those kind of things you can...
It's like anything on the field. If you get away with it, you look great. If the opposition score, you look like fools. So when I watch a game like that, yes, France are very good, and they are what we know they are. Scotland, I don't think they were that far away from, putting them in a little bit of trouble at times today.
It was the game was lost on either side at half-time. That try, it could have been a Stuart Hogg try, takes them into 2 points behind at half-time, and instead they don't quite get that try. It goes other end of the pitch, and they concede just after half-time. The game's gone.
And once you're chasing the game against the wind, against Scotland, always on that tightrope. The way they wanted to play was always going to be a risk.
And Abdul, at times it felt today like we were inside the Stade de France. The Marseillaise being sung and the French fans in full voice.
Yeah, it's 80,000 French people coming here. They need it after COVID time, you know. But this French team, everyone loves it, you know. They don't want to see French team next World Cup, I hope so, because we own a World Cup in France. And they give it a lot of pleasure, you know. They play very good rugby. It's like French flair, we say. That looks good for future.
Antoine Dupont there, another fantastic game for him, man of the match, receiving the trophy for the fixture from the Princess Royal, of course, who is at the Old Alliance there, the trophy, and of course Princess Royal, Princess Anne, is the president of the SRU, and she was, of course, here as a Scotland fan as well. She'll be disappointed, but of course impressed as a rugby fan with this French side. You talk about everybody likes to see this French side play, everybody likes to see this French side with flair. You know, at times they were all black-esque, weren't they? Especially the second try.
Yeah. Oh yeah, their execution today was superb, and just off the back of half-time, you know, this try was cruel. Ali Price gets caught behind the ruck, the ball gets knocked out, but they switch, and Sam talked about it in commentary. They've been defending from multiple phases at this point, and the skill execution, Duan van der Merwe, I think, could do better here. He comes in and ends up with his back to Penno. At that point there, the skill execution, the ability to get in behind, and again, the bounce of the ball goes Francois. It's a horrible bounce. But this was a killer blow for Scotland at that point. At that point, you think, could Scotland get back in the game? But you see here, the ball just gets knocked out, and more points coming off the back of France's defence.
They were a little bit unlucky there, but of all the teams in the world on turnover ball, I think French historically are the most dangerous. And they do get the bounce of the ball, but that was the sort of day they had a little bit today. And as a Scotsman, that would have broken your heart.
Jonathan Dante's try coming just after the game had restarted, the try from Fico coming just before half-time. And those kind of sucker punches psychologically are hard to come back from, aren't they?
They are. And look, I think Scotland were in the game going into half-time. Yeah, it was unfortunate to concede just before. But at this point, I kind of looked at them, and the game was almost away from the way that they were playing. It always looked like France
Scotland
might have had
come back with 7 points pretty quickly to get back in the game. They couldn't.
France were going to score more points. Yeah. That was the reality. So at that point, they've got away. They've got a big gap, but they looked so dangerous every time they had the ball.
Deep into the first half, the penalty count was well up for France. Scotland had managed to keep theirs down. It finished the match with, completely swung the other way. The power, the jackling, the turnovers that France managed to achieve in that game was really impressive.
It wasn't, and it's power, but it's just the accuracy. And I think the penalty count looks bad for Scotland again, but I think it was more an indication today of overplaying. They had to try and play, they had to try and run it from everywhere. And you see here the execution, Marchand there, one of the best in the world at turning over ball. So it was a shame Scotland tried to play a bit too much, but they had to go for it. You see Walker here, maybe lucky to get away with that one potentially, but it's all about this mindset. It's all about the way they want to defend, and they defend to get the ball back. They don't defend to hold you out. They want that ball back, and you see the number of turnovers. It's been a bit of an issue for Scotland throughout the Six Nations, but it's a 7-3 penalty count in the second half. Doesn't look great for Scotland.
No, the noise in here, the French fans are staying, the French players are doing a lap of honour around the pitch just near us here. They're singing as if this is the Grand Slam. They really saw this, I think, as their first test on the road as being a big step to that Grand Slam, because Scotland spoiled the party at the end of last season for them. Yeah,
and Scotland spoiled the party. This hasn't been a happy hunting ground, so this is great to have them here. I can't help but just admire this French team, and obviously the French supporters are feeling that as well.
Meanwhile, the scenes in the Scotland camp are more sober and disappointed, obviously. The whole Scotland squad stood together at the moment, but Stuart Hogg has crept away for an interview with Lee McKenzie.
Well, Stuart, you knew that France were going to be pretty tough out there today, but you came across a formidable French side. Just sum up your emotions.
We're gutted with that one. I think at times we played some decent rugby, at times we got in the right areas, but ultimately we let ourselves down at vital times, and credit to France. They took their opportunities when on offer, but did they have to work hard for the first three? Probably not, and that's the thing we're barely disappointed about. It's tough to take right now, it is.
As you say, there were some great moments of Scotland play, some great tries, but you did leave some points out there today.
Ah, we did. You know, myself, I let one go early doors, which could have, you know, changed the whole momentum of that game. And it's something that I'm absolutely devastated with. But look, it is what it is. I think for us now, we need some hard truths, hard lessons about where we're at as a team. You know, we'll stay tight, we'll enjoy each other's company, but we've got 2 more games to actually show what we're about. At times we did show what it means to play for Scotland. At other times we were far from good.
In terms of the performance today, there were some positives out there, and you could see Rory Darge put in a great performance on his first Scotland start. What will you take from this to build?
Look, as you say, there's some decent stuff in there, but you've got to be on the money for 80 minutes in Test match rugby, and if you don't take your opportunities or you cough up too cheaply, we make it really difficult for ourselves. And you know, as I say, France took their opportunities, and that's the difference between the scoreline right now, and it's absolutely horrible for them.
Thanks very much, Stuart.
So disappointed captain Stuart Hogg there, because Scotland, after that victory in England on match day 1, you've only got 2 home matches this season, and you beat England in the Calcutta Cup, and then a narrow defeat to Wales, and then this really does feel like they've kind of been punched backwards in their progress. Certainly they're playing an exceptionally good French side.
Yeah, look, they are. I mean, France are superb, but like you say, they go to Italy, you hope and expect they'll go there and win. But then they have to go to Ireland, win, and if they don't win in Ireland, they leave the Six Nations with 2 wins, which, the facts are the facts, that'll be one of the worst Six Nations they've had in 3 or 4 years. So that's a huge turnaround from the mindset after the England game and before the England game and going to Wales, and it's the narrative around the team has really shifted a bit.
What does it say about strength and depth? Because they've lost a lot of forwards in particular.
Yeah, look, we're not the biggest playing rugby nation in terms of playing numbers, so yeah, they've lost some of their best players up front. They've lost their whole back row, which is broken. They lost Johnny Gray, they've lost Rory Sutherland, so they've lost British and Irish Lions. So there is depth, but then the guys came through today. Rory Darge was sublime today. So you lost Hamish Watson, you bring in Rory Darge, but the guys played it right. But that's not why the game was lost today.
Yeah, look, it's a good French team. Yeah, the bounce of the ball, and yes, Scotland needed a lot to go right to win this game today, and it didn't quite go. Stuart Hogg catches that ball and they score. This place goes berserk, and it could be different. It wasn't. I wouldn't get too down if I was Scotland. They'll be disappointed getting beaten like that at home, but actually, you know, they've got players out. They're playing potentially. I think this French team could be very, very, very good. But you know, it's just one of those days. Move on. If they can beat Ireland, they can get something back out of this tournament.
That'd be a huge result to go to Dublin and win. That would put things back on track.
Okay, let's hear then from the French camp and their team manager, Raphael Ibanez.
Well, Rafa, huge congratulations. A complete performance out there from this French side. You came here to get the bonus point. You did so early. How pleased are you with that today?
Yeah, I think we all think it was a pretty good performance. The team responded well. It was our first away game in the Six Nations this year, with some nice tries, and discipline as well was key for the game.
You say it was your first away match, and it was, but my goodness, there are so many French fans here today. The crowd were in full voice.
Yeah, if we have only one reason to be happy tonight, it's just because when you see the fans, the way they supported the team, that was just great. And for the team, it's just another step towards the Six Nations.
I spoke to Gregory Aldrit. I asked him a similar question. You've got Wales, you've got England. How do you stop France from getting ahead of themselves in what looks like a very strong year if you keep playing like that?
Well, I think we just have to stay focused on ourselves. We know that we still have room for improvement. Yeah, it's not because we won the first 3 games. You know, it's just we all know that within 1 or 2 weeks it's going to be another big challenge. Every game is different.
Congratulations, very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, keeping a lid on it and trying to keep the expectation kind of under control is going to be the big challenge, isn't it, for Fabien Gaultier and his team. The French nation are behind this side, and there they sit, top of the table after 3 matches on 14 points. It is Wales next for them, of course. It's a Friday night match, a week on Friday, 7:30 on BBC One. England, of course, yet to play this weekend. They are at Twickenham against Wales, and then Ireland play Italy tomorrow. Scotland, as John said then, you know, if they don't get wins get a win against Ireland, assuming they could get a win against Italy, would feel like a step backwards, certainly in terms of where they are in the table, but there is still a way to go in this Six Nations. Let's talk about the French coaching staff and the influence of Sean Edwards. We saw that today all over the defence, the urgency of the defence, you know, the efforts put in from 1 to 15 throughout the 80 minutes as well. Fabien Gaultier, his fingertips all over that.
It's right. He's involved 42 players in the camp all year. They have contract with the clubs. They have 42 clubs that they want to change. Everyone is focused. But the second half was very nice because the four forwards coming in, they keep the physical time, and everyone in focus. That's what I like in this team is still modestic. They focus every battle every week, and they know they have a lot of improvement again for the match and match. That's the reason we will still humble and will look for next game.
What do the French public, the rugby-loving public in France, make of Sean Edwards?
They need a victory. We spent 12 years without a result. You know, it's a big time. Bad time for French team. Now it's come back. They believe in the spirit. They believe in the players, and they enjoy as well. They see the young player to be in the French team, because our championship they don't have a lot of opportunity. They won 2 World Cups under 20, but they don't have opportunity to play in the club. Now to see the potential for a future is very enjoying for the public.
Absolutely. Let's have a little look then at some more French flair, and Damien Penaud, who got 2 today. This was the first of those, John.
And it was, and this is power. You know, we saw some ruthless execution in terms of efficiency, but again, a turnover. Jono talked about it, that ability to turn defence into attack and see the space and then have the skill execution. This is a turnover from Roy Darge, and the effect of attacking off a quick turnover ball is that you end up with VP now on the wing against Damien Penaud, and that's a try every single time. But that's what Sam was talking about before the game, the amount of points that are coming off defence. You know, we saw the Dante try before this. This is off defence, and then it's just execution and superb. It's absolutely incredible the way their defence supplies them with so many points through the game.
It's classic French rugby for me, because they've always loved mauling the ball. So you turn the ball over against them and you know you're in trouble. Scotland almost punched themselves out at that point. They're running. France defended it, turned it over, and as John said, the try then was inevitable. I think here, they sort of threaten up the middle. Scotland have to honour that and defend it, and then just a nice kick over. But by this point, they could do whatever they wanted because there was no pressure on France. The game was won, and that was cruel on Scotland. They weren't that far behind France.
But that's just skill execution. Every single opportunity France had, they took today.
They worked hard for this ball.
And Scotland didn't.
Especially this ball. They need this ball. They're looking for on training session. You know, every Iraqs they want the ball from they use it very quickly. Yeah.
And maybe it was the Fiku try, if we go back to the first half, that actually was the nail in the coffin for Scotland, because coming so cruelly as it did after 2 really great opportunities for Scotland at the very death of the first half, it sent them in with a very different feeling.
But they'd come back into the half. They had a slow start. France got ahead, 2 tries. You're thinking, what's going to happen today? And they got themselves back into the game in a great position going into the half. Potentially should have had that try, and Stuart Hogg said there, you know, he feels like he left it out there. He took that one on the chin, but Gael Fiku's run 40 metres across the pitch there to score a try at the end of the first. I know there's tired bodies. That is a killer blow at the end of the first half, where Scotland rallied and showed resilience to get through a tough half. But again, you look at it, it's 2-on-2. It's harsh, and that's the brutality of Test match rugby. You've got to be stopping tries, but that's also the quality that France have to score these tries from nothing. Their ability to execute, power, flair. That's just brute power.
There's not many guys in this tournament back themselves to score that try like that. When he started running, I was thinking, no, you can't do this, can you? Because we had a great view of it. I was thinking, you can't do this, can you? And he went and did it. And Scotland a little bit overcommitted at the end of the game, and then tired legs. And as you said, that was a huge blow.
I'd say that Intermax and Dupont's get so much credit, but this sense of partnership is sublime. Dante today, their defensive work and their attack work is stunning.
His passing game as well is unheralded. But I also love their back row, because they're not spectacular, but they do all the work. Aldred, you don't even hear their names half the time. cross. They do all that, they graft, they stay on for most of the game, and they provide those opportunities for the likes of Dupont.
Whoever wins at Twickenham this afternoon, can either of those sides stop them? Because they're the two they've got in their way for a Grand Slam.
I think Wales away on a Friday night is a really tough game for France. This is a hurdle. I think Wales will be a bigger hurdle, personally.
I can't see it. And again, you talk about the idiosyncrasies of what we potentially expected of French teams over the last couple of years. They look like that's completely out of their DNA. The way they play, the professionalism, the way they go to task and they execute is.
But you've got to get the pressure on them. We score that try and take the lead. I think that we saw a bit.
Love that. John saying Scotland is we now. Did you see that? That was lovely. That was a nice moment.
Did I say that?
Abdul, you're a Grand Slam winner. It's been a while for France. Is it the feeling for you that this is their year?
Yeah. We everything looks good for the future, but we have to focus on the next game. Every match is a battle. You have to respect Wales, to go to Wales. It's not easy to win in Wales. From my experience, Martin, it's not easy. But you have to focus on the next game, not looking for the Grand Slam, and wait and see.
Abdul, it's been fantastic having you here with us today. We've enjoyed your company very much, and your enthusiasm for the atmosphere as well today.
That's the rugby, that's the spirit.
Yeah, as a rugby match, I think, watching this game, it was a real advert for the game, wasn't it?
I loved every minute because it lost a lot of structure, and everyone would just get the ball and play. And at times, it could have swung either way. It could have been a try either way at times.
Thank you very much, Martin. Abdul, great to see you. And John as well, always enjoyed your company, even though it wasn't Scotland's day today. So for the first time in this Six Nations, France had to go on the road. They came away with a victory. Away, Les Bleus, they are next time as well. It's Wales in Cardiff. You can see it on BBC One, 7:30 a week on Friday. We'll see you then.
We are ready for the third weekend of the Six Nations to get underway. Wonderful play from Dupont. What a try, Moefana! Now they'll score, and it is Rory Darge. Ficou for the corner, scores! And Dante will score! And there is the killer, there is the winner. France have done it again.
What a brilliant start it's been to the Six Nations. We'll be with you every Sunday for the final word on the weekend's action. Who's the most famous person you've ever had come into a change room? Oh, good question.